The room erupted in laughter, a sharp, cruel sound that sliced through the glittering haze of the gala. Emily's our family's cautionary tale single mom. No prospects. But damn. She cleans up nice. Claire's voice, smooth as velvet but sharp as a blade, rang out over the microphone. I froze, my heart slamming against my ribs, my fingers gripping the edge of the tablecloth. Noah, my 9-year-old son, tugged at my sleeve, his voice a whisper, small and confused. "Mom, why are they laughing at you?" His wide eyes searched mine, and in that moment, the Napa Valley vineyard around us, the twinkling chandeliers, the clinking champagne glasses, the sea of designer gowns felt like a trap snapping shut. I wanted to scoop him up, run, disappear, but my legs wouldn't move. All I could do was force a smile, the kind that hurts, and pray he wouldn't see the shame burning my cheeks. I'm Emily Harper, 35. A single mom who spent the last decade piecing together a life for me and Noah in Oakland. 2 jobs mornings, slinging coffee at a downtown cafe. Nights manning the front desk at a budget hotel, keep the lights on in our cramped 2-bedroom apartment. It's not glamorous, but it's ours. Noah's my everything. The reason I get up when the alarm screams at 5 a.m. The reason I learned to stretch a paycheck like it's elastic. He's got this laugh, bright and unstoppable, that makes every late-night shift worth it. But tonight, standing in this glittering estate in Napa Valley, I felt like an outsider in my own family, a ghost they'd rather forget. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not really. Claire Bennett, my younger sister by 5 years, is the golden child, beautiful, successful, the kind of woman who makes charity galas look effortless. She's built a name for herself in San Francisco's elite circles. Her face splashed across lifestyle blogs and donor lists. This gala, her annual fundraiser for some noble cause, was her stage, and I was just a prop. The invitation came late, tucked in a plain envelope. My name misspelled Emily with an I. I almost tossed it. But Noah overheard me talking about it, his eyes lighting up at the idea of a fancy party. He begged to go, said it'd be like stepping into a movie. And deep down, I hoped God. I hoped this might be the night my family finally saw me, not as the screw-up, but as someone worth knowing. So I scraped together the money for a second-hand dress, navy blue and simple, the only thing I owned that could pass in a room like this. I rented Noah a little blazer, taught him how to knot his tie. We drove up from Oakland, the vineyards stretching out like a postcard, the air crisp with promise. I told myself it'd be different this time. No judgment, no sidelong glances. Maybe Claire would smile. Maybe my mother, Margaret, would say something kind. But as we stepped into the estate, the weight of their world hit me. The guests, dripping in wealth, barely noticed us. Claire's greeting was a quick, "You made it," her eyes sliding past me to the next donor. Margaret didn't even look my way, too busy air-kissing someone in a tux. Noah, though, was enchanted, whispering that the chandeliers looked like spaceships. His joy kept me grounded, even as that familiar ache, the one that screams, "You don't belong," settled in my chest. Then Claire took the stage, her gown shimmering under the lights, her smile commanding the room. I sat at a back table, Noah swinging his legs beside me, and for a moment, I let myself believe she might say something warm, something about family. I raised my glass, ready to toast. That's when her words hit, sharp and deliberate, turning me into a punchline. The laughter swallowed me whole, and Noah's question, "Why are they laughing?" cut deeper than anything Claire could say. I didn't know how to answer him. I didn't know how to keep breathing in a room that suddenly felt airless. The The laughter from Claire's speech still echoed in my head. A ghost that wouldn't let go. As I sat there clutching Noah's hand under the table, my mind slipped back to the years that shaped me, the ones that carved this quiet ache I carry. I'm Emily Harper, and my life's been a patchwork of grit and love, stitched together for my son. Oakland's my home, a city of grit and hustle, where our 2-bedroom apartment smells like coffee grounds and Noah's crayons. I work 2 jobs mornings at Brood Awakening, steaming milk for tech bros. Nights at the Starlight Inn, checking in tired travelers. It's exhausting, but when Noah grins over his Saturday pancakes, telling me I'm his hero, it's enough. He's 9, all curiosity and heart. And I'd walk through fire to keep him safe. Growing up, I was never the star. That was Claire, 5 years younger, with her perfect smile and effortless charm. She could light up a room. I was the shadow in the corner. Our mother, Margaret, made sure I knew it. She'd gush over Claire's school plays, her prom queen crown, her acceptance to Stanford. Me, I got a shrug and a try harder. Emily, when I was 26, I fell hard for a guy named Ryan, a dreamer with a guitar and promises. I got pregnant, thought we'd build a life. By month 5, he was gone. No note, no call, just an empty apartment. I was alone, terrified, with Noah growing inside me. Margaret didn't hug me or ask how I'd manage. She just sighed. You've ruined us. Emily, the Harper name means something? Claire, barely out of high school, looked at me like I was a stranger. No one asked if I was okay. I learned then that love in my family came with conditions, and I'd failed the test. Noah changed everything. The first time I held him, his tiny fingers curling around mine, every cruel word faded to static. I vowed he'd never feel small, never doubt his worth. But my family's judgment clung like damp rot. Holidays were the worst. Margaret's dining room in Pacific Heights, all polished silver and forced smiles. She'd praise Claire's latest fundraiser, her photo ops with senators. While I got backhanded jabs, still at that coffee shop, Emily. Such a choice. Claire never defended me. She'd just sip her wine, her silence louder than words. I kept showing up, though, for Noah. I wanted him to have a family, to feel part of something bigger, deep down. I hoped they'd see me not the single mom, not the failure, but the woman who'd clawed her way through. When Claire's gala invite arrived, I hesitated. The envelope was crisp, but my name was wrong, Emily, like I was an afterthought. Noah found it on the counter, his eyes sparkling. A fancy party. Mom. Like in the movies, his excitement cracked my defenses. I spent weeks saving for my dress. A navy number from a thrift shop, and Noah's blazer, which he wore like a knight's armor. I did my hair in our tiny bathroom. Noah practicing his gentleman smile in the mirror. Driving to Napa. I let myself dream. Maybe Claire would pull me aside, say she was proud. Maybe Margaret would look at Noah and see what I'd built. Maybe this gala, with its glitz and goodwill, would be the bridge we needed. But as Claire's words tore through me, that hope crumbled. The gala wasn't a bridge, it was a stage, and I was the fool. Noah's confusion, his small voice asking why they laughed, ripped me open. I'd spent years shielding him from my family's coldness, but now he was in the crossfire. Every laugh in that room was a reminder I'd never be enough for them. Yet, as I looked at Noah, his trust in me unshaken, I felt a flicker of something fierce. I wasn't just their punching bag. I was his mom, his home. And no one, not Claire, not Margaret, could take that away. The vineyard's glow felt suffocating now, the chandeliers casting sharp glints like knives across the gala's polished tables. The air buzzed with murmured chatter, the clink of crystal glasses, the faint hum of a jazz quartet in the corner. Noah sat close, his little blazer wrinkled from fidgeting, his eyes darting between me and the crowd. He sensed something was wrong, even if he couldn't name it. I forced my hands to unclench, smoothing the napkin in my lap, but my pulse hammered in my throat. Claire's speech loomed like a storm cloud, and every instinct screamed to grab Noah and bolt. But I stayed, pinned by a stubborn hope that maybe, just maybe, this night wouldn't break me. The gala was a spectacle. Napa Valley's elite swirling in a haze of perfume and privilege. Women in sequined gowns floated past, their laughter light as champagne bubbles. Men in tailored suits traded handshakes, their voices low and confident. I felt like a smudge on their perfect canvas. My thrift store dress too plain, my calloused hands too rough. Noah, though, was captivated. He leaned over, whispering, "Mom, those lights look like spaceships." His grin was a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge. I ruffled his hair, whispering, "They kinda do, buddy." For a moment, I could breathe. Then I caught the whispers. A woman at the next table, her diamond earrings glinting, leaned toward her friend. "That's Claire's sister." "Right, the one who, messed up." Her friend smirked, glancing at me. "Single mom, no degree. How's she even here?" My cheeks burned, but I kept my eyes on Noah, pretending I hadn't heard. He was tracing the tablecloth with his finger, oblivious, and I thanked God for that. I wanted to shield him from their world, from the way their words could cut. But the room felt smaller, the air thicker, like I was drowning in their judgment. Claire moved through the crowd like a queen, her emerald gown catching every light. She stopped at tables, her smile radiant, her laugh musical. When she passed ours, her eyes flicked to me, cold and fleeting. "Glad you could make it. Emily," she said, her tone clipped, like I was a guest she hadn't meant to invite. She looked at Noah, adding, "He's growing fast." No warmth, no hug, just a nod before she glided away. Margaret was worse. She swept by in a cloud of Chanel, her silver hair perfect, her gaze sliding right through me. I was invisible to her, a server, a nobody. Noah didn't notice. He was too busy marveling at the dessert tray, whispering, "Can we get one of those chocolate things?" I nodded, my throat tight, forcing a smile. His joy was my anchor, but it couldn't stop the dread pooling in my gut. The speeches began, a parade of donors and board members, their words polished and forgettable. The crowd clapped politely, their attention drifting. Then Claire took the stage, and the room hushed. She stood tall, her gown shimmering, her smile commanding every eye. I shifted in my seat, my heart thudding. Noah perked up, his legs swinging, enchanted by her presence. "She looks like a movie star," he whispered. I nodded, my mouth dry, and raised my glass, hoping her words would be kind. She started sweetly, thanking the donors, praising the cause. Her voice was warm, almost tender, and for a fleeting second, I let myself believe she'd include me. Maybe say something about family, about love. Then her tone shifted, a sly edge creeping in. Of course, I couldn't forget my big sister, Emily. The spotlight swung to our table, pinning me in its glare. My breath caught, my fingers trembling around my glass. Noah looked up, excited, thinking something good was coming. Claire's smile widened, but her eyes were sharp. "She's always been an example," she said, pausing as the crowd leaned in. I braced myself, knowing what was next, but nothing could have prepared me for how deep it would cut. Claire's voice sliced through the Gala's hum, her words dripping with venom disguised as charm. Emily's the bravest woman I know. Raising a kid alone, no husband, no prospects, just her and whoever's free to babysit. The room exploded in laughter, a jagged wave that crashed over me. My chest tightened, my vision blurring as I stared at the table, the napkin in my lap twisted into a knot. Noah's small hand found mine. His voice a shaky whisper. "Mom, what's prospects mean? Why's everyone laughing?" His confusion was a blade, sharper than the crowd's mockery. I wanted to answer, to shield him. But my throat was sandpaper, my heart pounding so loud it drowned out the jazz quartet. Then Margaret's voice cut through, loud and deliberate from her table near the stage. "She's past her prime. But give her credit, she still shows up." Another burst of laughter, crueler this time, like glass shattering. My face burned, my breath shallow. As the room spun, I scanned the faces around me, searching for a lifeline, someone who'd meet my eyes with kindness. My grandfather Walter stared at his plate, his fork unmoving. A cousin scrolled her phone, smirking. Even Sarah, my oldest friend, the one I'd confided in about this night, was laughing. Her head tilted back, her glass raised, her chuckle blending with the crowd's. Sarah, who'd hugged me in our apartment last week, who'd said, "You got this. Show 'em who you are." Her betrayal hit harder than Claire's words, a punch to the gut that stole what little air I had left. I'd invited Sarah to the gala, thinking she'd be my anchor. We'd grown up together in Oakland, shared secrets over late-night coffee. She knew my family's coldness, knew how much this night scared me. When she said she'd come, I felt stronger, like I wasn't facing the Harpers alone. But now, her laughter was a wall, shutting me out. I stared at her, willing her to look at me, to see the hurt in my eyes. She didn't. Noah tugged my sleeve again, his voice smaller now. "Mom, is Aunt Claire mad at you?" "Is Sarah?" I swallowed hard, forcing words out. "No, buddy, they're just joking." But the lie tasted bitter, and his frown told me he didn't believe it. The room felt like it was closing in, the chandeliers glow too bright, the air thick with perfume and malice. Claire stood on stage, basking in the applause, her smile unshaken. Margaret leaned toward her table mates, her voice carrying again. Emily always was a lesson in what not to do. More chuckles, softer but no less cutting. I wanted to scream, to stand and tell them they didn't know me. Didn't know the nights I'd stayed up balancing bills, sewing Noah's jeans, teaching him to read. But my legs were lead, my mouth dry. All I could do was hold Noah's hand, his warmth the only thing keeping me from breaking. Sarah's laughter echoed in my head. A fresh wound. I'd trusted her, let her into my world, my fears. She'd promised to have my back. But here she was, siding with the crowd, with Claire, with the family that never saw me. Her betrayal wasn't just a moment. It was a crack in the foundation I'd built. A reminder that even the people I loved could turn. Noah looked up, his eyes wide with worry, and that broke me more than anything. He was seeing this, seeing his mom reduced to a joke, and I couldn't protect him from it. My heart raced, my hands trembling as I pushed my chair back, ready to grab him and run. I didn't care about dignity anymore. I just needed out, away from the laughter, the betrayal, the weight of their eyes. But before I could move, a new sound cut through the noise, a chair scraping, sharp and deliberate, from the head table. The scrape of the chair was like a gunshot, silencing the Gala's cruel laughter. My eyes snapped to the head table, where Ethan, Claire's fiancé, stood tall, his jaw clenched tight. The microphone was in his hand, pulled from Claire's grip without a word. The room froze, the air heavy, as if the chandeliers themselves held their breath. I was half out of my seat. Noah's hand still in mine, ready to flee, but Ethan's gaze locked onto me steady, unflinching, and blazing with something I couldn't name. Not pity, not anger, resolve. My heart stuttered, my legs rooted to the spot. Whatever was coming, it wasn't part of Claire's script. Ethan stepped forward, his polished shoes clicking on the hardwood floor. The crowd shifted, uneasy, their glasses forgotten in their hands. Claire's smile faltered, her hands twitching at her sides. Margaret's eyes narrowed, her lips parting as if to speak, but Ethan didn't give her the chance. His voice, low and firm, cut through the silence like a blade. "Emily, don't go." The words hit me like a jolt, pinning me in place. Noah looked up, his frown easing, sensing something big was happening. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. As Ethan turned to the crowd, his face hard but his eyes burning with conviction. "I've stood here all night, listening to talk about charity, about goodness," he said, his voice rising, each word deliberate. But what I just saw, that wasn't goodness. That was cruelty, dressed up as a joke. Gasps rippled through the room, soft but sharp, like a breeze through dry leaves. Claire stiffened, her face paling under the stage lights. Ethan didn't look at her. His eyes flicked back to me, then to Noah, and something in his expression softened, just for a moment. Emily's raised a son alone, worked 2 jobs, built a life with no one handing her a damn thing, and you mock her strength because it doesn't fit your pretty little world. The room was dead silent now. The jazz quartet long stopped. My chest ached, my throat tight. As his words sank in, he saw me not the failure, not the punchline, but me. Noah squeezed my hand, whispering, "Mom, he's talking about you." His voice was small, but there was pride in it, and that nearly broke me. Ethan stepped closer to our table, the spotlight following him, casting long shadows. "You called her unwanted," he said, turning to Claire, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. "You made her son watch his mom be torn down. What kind of family does that?" Claire opened her mouth, but no words came. Her eyes darted to the crowd, searching for support. But the faces staring back were different now, some shocked, some ashamed, a few nodding slowly. Margaret stood, her chair screeching, her voice sharp. "Ethan, you're embarrassing us." But he didn't flinch. He turned to her, his gaze cold. "No, Margaret, you embarrassed yourselves. I'm just calling it what it is." A woman at a nearby table dropped her fork, the clatter echoing. Someone whispered, "Is this happening?" But Ethan wasn't done. He looked at Noah, his voice softening. "Steady. Kid, your mom's a warrior. She's the strongest person here. Don't ever forget that." Noah's eyes widened, a small smile breaking through his confusion. My vision blurred, tears I'd fought all night threatening to spill. Ethan turned back to the crowd, his final words slow and heavy. "If this is what family means to you, tearing down someone who's fought harder than any of you, then I don't want a seat at this table." He set the microphone down, the thud reverberating, and walked past Claire, past the stunned guests, straight out the door. The silence that followed was deafening. Claire stood frozen, her gown no longer dazzling, her stage crumbling. Margaret's face was a mask of fury, but she didn't speak. Noah leaned into me, his voice a whisper. "Mom, he's right. You're strong." For the first time that night, I felt it not just his words, but a spark inside me, fierce and alive. The room was still, but the narrative had shifted. I wasn't the joke anymore. I was the one they'd underestimated. The Gala's silence hung heavy, a fragile thing, as Ethan's footsteps faded beyond the vineyard's doors. The chandelier's glow felt dimmer, the air stale with shock. Claire stood at the head table, her emerald gown sagging like a costume, her eyes darting, searching for a way to reclaim the stage. Margaret's hands trembled, her lips pressed tight, but she said nothing. The crowd stirred, whispers creeping through the tables like static. Noah clung to my hand, his small fingers warm against my cold ones. "Mom, are we staying?" he asked, his voice soft but steady. I looked down at him, his blazer rumpled, his eyes wide but trusting, and something in me shifted. I didn't need to run anymore. Not from them. I stood, my legs shaky but sure, and smoothed Noah's hair. "Let's go home, buddy," I said, my voice quiet but firm. The room watched as we moved, my navy dress catching the light, no longer a mark of shame. Faces blurred past, some avoided my gaze. Others held it, their eyes flickering with something like respect. Halfway to the exit, a voice stopped me. "Emily, wait." It was Walter, my grandfather, his frail frame rising from his chair. His eyes, pale and red-rimmed, met mine. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice cracking. I should have spoken up. Years ago. The words hit like a wave, gentle but heavy. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. I didn't forgive him, not fully, but I didn't carry his guilt either. I just kept walking, Noah's hand in mine, the vineyard's opulence fading behind us. Outside, the Napa night was cool, the stars sharp against the dark. Noah squeezed my hand as we crossed the gravel lot to our beat-up sedan. "Was that man a superhero?" he asked, his voice bright with awe. I laughed, a real laugh. The first all night. Ethan maybe. Kid. Or maybe he just said what needed saying. We drove back to Oakland, the hum of the tires, a quiet rhythm. Noah tapping the armrest, his chatter about spaceships and chocolate mousse filling the silence. I let his voice ground me, but my mind churned. Ethan's words had cracked something open, not just in the room, but in me. I wasn't invisible anymore. But what did that mean? Could I ever face them again? Claire, Margaret, Sarah, at home, our apartment felt smaller, warmer. The familiar mess of Noah's crayons and my coffee mugs a comfort. I tucked him into bed, kissing his forehead, lingering as his breaths slowed. In the quiet, I wandered to the living room, my eyes catching on a wooden box on the shelf, a keepsake from my dad. Gone since I was a kid. I hadn't opened it in years, but something pulled me to it now. Inside, among old photos and trinkets, was a folded letter, its edges yellowed. My name was scrawled on it in his handwriting. My heart stuttered as I unfolded it, the paper soft under my fingers. "Dear Emily," it began. "You're my brave girl, always. You've got a fire in you, stronger than anyone knows. Don't let them dim it, not your mom, not the world. I'm proud of you. Every day." Tears spilled, hot and fast. As I read it again, he'd written it before he died, when I was just a kid. But it felt like he'd known the woman I'd become. The letter was a revelation, a tether to a love I'd forgotten, a reminder I'd never been the failure they claimed. I clutched it to my chest, my sobs quiet but raw. All these years, I'd fought to prove my worth, but he'd seen it long before I did. The letter changed me, like Ethan's words had, but deeper. It wasn't just defiance now. It was certainty. I didn't need Claire's approval, Margaret's pride, or Sarah's loyalty. I had Noah, my dad's words, my own strength. As I sat there, the weight of the gala, Claire's cruelty, Sarah's betrayal, the laughter felt lighter, not gone, but less defining. I was still Emily Harper, single mom, barista, night clerk, but I was also enough, and that was a truth no one could take. The morning after the gala, sunlight filtered through our apartment's worn curtains, painting soft stripes across the kitchen table. Noah sat cross-legged on the floor, sketching spaceships, his crayons scattered like confetti. I poured coffee, the familiar bitterness grounding me. But inside, I felt different, steadier, like a knot had finally loosened. Ethan's words, my dad's letter, the weight of that Napa night, they'd shifted something permanent. I wasn't the woman who'd walked into that vineyard, hoping for scraps of approval. I was Emily Harper, and I was done shrinking. My phone buzzed relentlessly, notifications piling up. A friend from work had texted late last night, "Em, you need to see this, it's everywhere." I opened the link, my stomach twisting. Someone had recorded Ethan's speech, the video now viral on Twitter, racking up over 100,000 views. There I was, frozen in the frame, Noah's hand in mine, as Ethan's voice rang out, calling out Claire's cruelty. The comments flooded in. This mom's a queen. Ethan's a legend. More men like him. Single moms deserve respect. I scrolled, my throat tight, not with shame, but with something new pride. Strangers saw me, not as a punchline, but as a fighter. For the first time, I believed it too. Claire didn't call, didn't text. Her social media went quiet, the gala photos vanishing from her feed. Word spread that her fundraiser had tanked, donors pulling back after the video painted her as the villain. I didn't gloat, I didn't need to. Her world was hers to fix. Sarah reached out, a half-hearted text. "Em, I didn't mean to laugh. Can we talk?" I stared at it, my thumb hovering. Once, I'd have run to forgive her, desperate for her friendship. Now, I saw her betrayal for what it was, a choice. I typed back, "I'm good, Sarah, take care." And I meant it. I didn't need her validation any more than I needed Claire's. Margaret was the last to try. Her call came a week later, her voice sharp through the speaker. "Emily, you've humiliated us." That video's a disgrace to the Harper name. I let her talk, her words like old static, familiar but powerless. When she paused, I spoke, calm and clear. "I'm not your scapegoat anymore. Mom, if you're embarrassed, that's on you." I hung up, my hands steady, my heart light. It wasn't anger, it was freedom. I didn't need her to see me. I saw myself. Life didn't turn into a fairy tale. I still worked doubles, still burned the toast some mornings, but I carried myself taller. My shoulders no longer hunched under years of doubt. Noah noticed. One evening, as we washed dishes, he grinned, soap bubbles on his nose. "Mom, you smile more now, like real smiles." I laughed, flicking water at him, and realized he was right. I wasn't just surviving, I was living, unafraid to take up space. A small package arrived a few days later. No sender listed. Inside was a single wildflower, vibrant purple, with a card that read, "To the fighter." I smiled, knowing it was Ethan. He'd vanished after the gala. Rumors swirling he'd ended things with Claire. I didn't need to see him to feel his impact. He'd given me a gift, not just his words, but a mirror to see my own strength. I tucked the flower in a vase, a quiet reminder of the night I stopped being invisible. Noah and I kept our routine's pancakes on Saturdays. late-night talks about his dreams of being an astronaut. But he was different too. Bolder, asking questions about courage, about why some people hurt others. He'd seen me stand tall, seen Ethan speak truth, and it shaped him. I knew, watching him, that he'd grow into a man who'd lift others up, not tear them down. That was my victory. Not Claire's silence or Margaret's anger. I'd built a home, a life, a son who believed in me. And, in myself, I'd found a strength no one could dim. Noah's laughter filled our Oakland apartment, bouncing off the walls as he chased a paper airplane across the living room. I watched him, my coffee mug warm in my hands, and felt a quiet certainty settle in my bones. That night at the Napa Gala, with its cruel laughter and unexpected hero, didn't just change me, it taught me truths I'll carry forever. I'm Emily Harper, a single mom who's learned the hard way what it means to stand tall. And if my stories reached you, sitting there on the other side of this screen, I want to share what I've learned. Not as a preacher, but as someone who's walked through fire and come out stronger. First, know your worth doesn't depend on anyone's approval. Not your family, not your friends, not a room full of strangers in fancy suits. For years, I chased Claire's praise, Margaret's nod, Sarah's loyalty, thinking they'd make me whole. But their words, good or bad, don't define you. You do. When Noah looked at me that night, confused by the laughter, I realized I was already enough for the person who mattered most. So, hold tight to the people who see you, and let go of those who don't. It's not easy, but it's freedom. Second, set boundaries, even when it hurts. Saying no to Margaret, to Sarah, wasn't just about pride, it was about protecting my peace. Toxic people, even family, will drain you if you let them. Draw a line, firm and clear, and don't feel guilty for it. You're not being selfish, you're being strong. I used to think love meant enduring every jab, every slight. Now I know love starts with respecting yourself. Third, courage isn't always loud. Ethan's stand was bold, a moment I'll never forget. But my quiet choice to walk out with Noah, head high, was just as brave. Courage can be a whisper, a step, a refusal to shrink when you feel small. Remember, showing up, scars and all, is a victory. My dad's letter reminded me I'd always had that fire. I just needed to claim it. You've got it too. Trust me. Finally, lift others up, especially when they're down. Ethan didn't know me well, but he saw my hurt and spoke up. Noah saw it too, in his own way, with his small hand in mine. Those moments of kindness, big or small, ripple. Be the person who stops the laughter, who says that's not okay. It's not about being a hero, it's about being human. I've learned family isn't always blood. It's the people who choose to stand with you. My life's still messy. I burn toast, miss bills, work till my feet ache. But I'm not hiding anymore. Noah and I laugh louder now, dream bigger. That gala, that letter, that night they showed me I'm a fighter, not a failure. And if you've ever felt like you don't belong, like your story's too small to matter, hear this. You are enough. Your voice, your heart, your fight, they matter. Don't let anyone dim your light. I'm sharing this because stories like mine, like yours, can change someone's day, maybe their life. If this hit home, if you've ever faced a room that laughed or a family that didn't see you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me about a time you stood up, or someone stood up for you. What kept you going? Your words could be the spark someone needs. And if this story moved you, hit that like button. Share it with a friend who's fighting their own battle. Spread the light. Oh, And don't forget to subscribe and tap that notification bell. I'm here telling true stories, raw, real, human, about what it means to rise, to love, to keep going. You don't want to miss what's next. Noah's already asking when we can make another video. And I'm thinking he might just steal the show, so stick around. Let's keep this conversation going, because no one fights alone. Thank you for being here, for listening, for seeing me. Now, go shine.